Yeah. Yeah, no, missing report person request. Yeah, no. No updates? Yeah. Still no J. Okay. All right. Bye. Just me again. Let's go. Welcome back to Lord of War. We cut the S because it's just one of us. And sick of the solo videos yet? No? Yes? Let me know. Let me know if you're sick of them yet. And we're getting a little crazy here. We're running out of solo ideas, so we're gonna go back to the oldies but a goodies here. And let me tell you, this is just kind of on my mind, and it links up to all the horse heresy stuff that's been going on. And people are gonna be like, "Horse heresy, let's go." Is Chris doing another horse heresy video? Are we gonna see another horse heresy video from Chris? Not this one. Maybe though. Maybe. And it gets me thinking. That's why I got my glasses ready, because this might be a little condescending, right? So I'm ready to go into that mode if I have to here. It got me thinking about discounting again, and sort of why certain events happen and how we get into certain situations. And you can go watch previous videos. This last week I talked a little bit about like some of the bad stuff that's going on in retail right now in 2025, despite things being generally trending up. And then you kind of push that up against like the fact that like GW is doing really well right now, but there's a lot more shops opening, so it's kind of like splitting the pie up a lot, and a lot of new people coming into the market don't have any experience selling GW stuff, and so they're just getting in on this high tide, and they're like, wow, I just want a product they just want to do drop shipping, right? I'll be real with you, right? So they want to be a drop site location, not the massacre kind from Horse Heresy, although it might be a massacre. And with all these like new people entering, and then they're like some of these old giants that are traditional discounters and have gone more and more volume based as time's gone on, as they become bigger and stuff like that. I didn't build my. I should have built a little Wayland Games crown or whatever, just to give them a little shout out for that situation. And I just wanted to kind of go over again, like, what are some of the realities of like choosing to discount as a retailer? What are you looking at? What are some of the pitfalls? Because people obviously, like, consumers are right away being like, here we go again. This guy's trying to take more and more of our money. And as a consumer, obviously you have every right to advocate and want the lowest price for anything, right? But here I am again, and this is what the channel's about, is explaining our side of things and what the effects of that are, right? So just a couple of kind of quick notes and thoughts here. I'm trying to be as objective as possible. In terms of Warhammer, for every 10% that you discount, you're looking at a bit more than double that in loss of profit, right? So if I discounted 10%, I would lose a bit over 20% of my take-home money, right? So where I am in Canada, the most you can advertise to discount is 15%, which would be about 33% a loss in margin or profit. But that doesn't mean that people don't sell things for less, right? So you still have people that sell in store for cheaper than that even, and they're taking an even bigger cut on their profit margin. And one of the things that kind of like happens when you start to discount, because maybe you do that and you feel pressure from customers, maybe you're a new account, you're not really moving things like you thought you might, and you're just like, okay, well, I'm gonna try to compete now. I'm gonna try to like match the lowest price, because the lowest price is the law. That's a gift for you Canadians that don't understand that. Oldie but a goodie. Basically now, as soon as you hit that lower, you're like, well, I can't really make enough money by selling discount, like at the maximum discount, to my locals anymore. So now I basically have to put my stuff online and try to sell more kits to more people, right? So you're now extending your border out from your city and being like, okay, I'm going to sell to my state, province, country. And maybe I'm gonna have to, if I'm gonna do that, maybe I gotta spend money on advertising. I gotta slam some Facebook, Instagram bucks down, spend some googly dollars, whatever that might look like. More money out of your margin. And so now you've gone from basically focusing on your like little region, your little geographical area, to now you're going to compete with the big boys. You're going to compete across a big area, and you're competing with everybody now. So now you're in business against everybody, right? So how do you? So at that point, it's like, how do you essentially distinguish yourself from every other retailer that's selling online for the same discount, right? Do you give free shipping, right? So you see that sometimes. You see that pop up. So now you're going to take an even bigger cut out of your profit, right? So now maybe instead of 33% of our profit, maybe we're losing closer to 45% of our profit. So we're getting close to half of our take home money, being gone. And keep in mind, out of that money, you still have to pay yourself, pay for your rent, pay for your phone, pay for all your processing fees. So that's another thing. So you also have to factor that in. So someone pays online for your box. Let's just say like $100 box, right? You're selling it for 15% off. So your take home goes down from $45 to $30, right? So you make $30 on a $100 purchase. But wait, that customer, not that they don't know they don't know. They're just using the money that they have, right? They decided to pay with PayPal. It's pretty popular these days. And PayPal has their own processing fee on top of your already processing fee that you're going to pay to your web host. So if you're using like a Shopify or any of those kind of like web host programs, which is already a higher rate than a regular credit card transaction would be in your shop, because they're kind of like including all these extra services. You could be looking at about 5%. So another $5 off the top gone. So now our $30 is now $25. And then now you're going to also ship the box for free. So maybe your $25 is now, I don't know many places that are shipping for less than $10. So let's just call it $10. It's oftentimes more than $10, especially in Canada, a pretty big country. Shipping can be quite expensive. So let's call it 10 just to be honest or simple. You sold something that's $100 and you made $15. You made 15 buckaroonies, and you have to, like I said earlier, you have to pay your rent. You got to pay all the utilities, air, heating. You got to pay the crazy guy who wants to wash your windows every week. He's got to eat, right? We got to get him paid. Internet, we still need that, I guess. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of other things, like all the maintenance of your building, your property, like your things like boxes and tape and stickers and computer stuff and software sometimes costs money, and there's a bajillion things. Maybe you have an accountant because you probably have to have one. You have to pay for that. The list goes on, and these are monthly expenses, right? That $15 has to go and cover all those things, right? And I think that I always go back to that can work for some people. Like you can sell in some stores can sell enough kits, enough things a month that they can get enough of those $15 transactions, where they're pocketing the $15 and they're, turning that into enough money to pay for things and also make some money. But I guess my point is, like, let's talk about what has to happen and what the dangers are. So now that you are making so little on each kit or product, you have to move a lot of it. So what happens? You build a business around trying to sell a lot of these kits, right? I didn't even talk about marketing money coming out of that $15. That's another thing, right? Did you spend $1 to market that? Maybe. So I guess my point is, if you have to move so many of these things, every time there's GW is like, hey, we got a new release, I guess I got to order a bunch, right? Because I have to sell a lot of these. If I only sell a few, I'm not going to make enough money, right? So I'm kind of explaining to you how you get to the situation where you become a Wayland Games or a Meeple Mart if you're in Canada, or one of these like big, huge companies that basically turned into like a big seller, and they sell online. Most of their business is online, right? And the more you kind of bank on like these big releases, and like you have to go deep in them, because if you don't sell a lot of them, you're not going to make any money. Well, enter these like recent big box disappointments that have happened more recently, like the Dominion boxes, the Skaven Tides, even Hivestorm to some degree was this, where I think if the retailers were being honest, just getting ready here because I'm Chris, you got to stop talking down to people. Just trying to explain what's going on, guys. If they were being honest, I think they would say, if they took 5 minutes to think about the product specifically, and they're like, who is this actually for, and who's going to be buying this, they would be like, well, I actually don't think I need this many. I don't think I should order this many of this product, right? Because it's just, every single big box isn't for everybody, right? They're not these like Leviathan boxes or Indominus boxes that like people are just buying up like hotcakes because they're such a great deal and it's 40K and everyone wants it. But I think what they would also say is that there's a lot of pressure to keep selling a huge volume of these sets, right? So they just almost have to go, okay, what's the next one? Give me a bajillion, 1 bajillion, please. I guess I'm gonna have to try and sell this again, right? And that's really what it is. And when these things don't fire, when they don't go off, because inevitably, two things. There's gonna be, I guess I can put these off now. You guys got the message. Inevitably, there's gonna be things that are not as hot, right? Not as fire selly, and don't sell out. But there's also gonna be things that were never meant to be a sellout product, like Saturnine, right? Would GW have been happy if it sold out? Of course they would. Every company wants that. But, so I'll remind people again, it's a 3-year box cycle for that box. It was supposed to be, it's the set for 3 years. It's not a Hivestorm. It's not a Skaven Tide. It's not a Dominion. It's not a launch box. It's more like a starter set, right? So, this is where we're at, right? This is where we're seeing one of these situations where it's blowing up in people's faces, in not people's faces, but in retailers' faces, that this is where the discounting, like the heavy, deep discounting model leads to. It leads to these situations where you're really exposed, and not every single time do things go really, really well. Anyone who's in the card world, like the TCG world, they see this stuff all the time, right? This is the type of stuff that wipes out hundreds of businesses when there's downturns, right? When there's like a Magic set, like 2 Magic sets in a row that don't sell well, hundreds of businesses close. Like it's wild how much, and once again, because in that market you're dealing with a really low margin, low profit per item thing, and because of that you have this huge extra risk attached to everything that happens, right? So I think we're seeing that a little bit with like Warhammer, which is not supposed to be this, like, Warhammer's not supposed to be a TCG. It's not supposed to be a comic book. It's not supposed to be this like limited made sell through thing and then never restock it, right? Like it's not, even though it has been kind of that way for a couple years since the pandemic, because of the popularity boom and all like the craziness around it, and they can't keep up with production, which is why they're building a whole new facility for 2026. It was never meant to be that, and I think people have tricked themselves into thinking that it is that now, and that every big product's going to just kind of work that way. And we're seeing that it's not the case, right? We're seeing that there are products that aren't failures. Like I don't look at Saturnine and be like, wow, this product sucks. And I maybe pissing people off by saying that, but I really like the product. Do I like it as much as the Age of Darkness box from 3 years ago? No, not as a product. But I don't think they could make that again, right? Like sometimes you just make what you can make. I don't want to get too much off topic and just focus on Horse Heresy because that gets people too excited. And so I think this is where we're at. I think we're at this weird period right now where we're seeing, is Saturnine going to wipe anybody out? I don't think so. I hope not, you know. I'm not rooting for anyone to fail in this business. But we're seeing, I think, here the danger of that business model where even like if you're a small shop, you know, like I consider ourselves a small shop, right? If you're a small shop and you're playing this dangerous game of we're going to try to sell to everybody, we're going to sell online, we're going to sell for the lowest price we can sell for, free shipping, all that stuff. This is the danger. This is the playing with fire part that's really risky, right? Because not a lot of businesses our size can sit on 20, 30, 40 boxes of something like Saturnine and not have those sell. It would be catastrophic to your capital, to your working capital, right? Like you need that money to go into the next week, the next month, that sort of thing. It might shock and surprise a lot of you, but not a lot of small businesses have huge reservoirs of cash. Most people open a small business with very little in their bank account, and they spend every penny they have on stock to open, rent, all that stuff, and they usually don't have any extra money left over, and they're usually using their credit cards, their line of credit, that sort of stuff. And I mean, that is also why a lot of businesses don't succeed, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And I think the last point about discounting, and this is just more of a message to like other retailers that watch this. I know there's some folks out there that watch, and I think my message to you, if you're kind of new to this and you're kind of like, not really sure if you should discount or not, or maybe you are discounting already or you're not discounting, whatever. Keep in mind, like a bunch of your local customers probably like you enough to pay more for stuff. Like I fundamentally believe you think that you have to believe that, because why are you in business? Why are you in business then? Like if you can't convince someone to support you for a few extra bucks. Sorry about that, guys. Getting kind of close to open. People start knocking on the door. I think you have to believe in yourself enough to know that like people are like the people coming to your store that are local are getting so much more value, hobefully, out of your business. Getting to see you in person, you giving them some help and expertise, giving them a place to play, hopefully, a place to hobby, a place to be part of a community. And I think it's okay to charge a little bit extra money for that. Because like I said earlier, that extra margin, that extra profit, it's going to help you stay open. It's going to help you stay viable. It means you don't have to sell 1 million kits. It means you can sell a few kits and still make a living. Yeah, I think that would be my PSA to anyone starting a business out there is think hard and long about those choices and kind of how those might go. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. I'm seeing some of the fallout of this, and keep in mind we're still in a hot period, right? So the next 40K thing, Votan, probably will blow out and sell out again. So people will probably learn no lessons from this, which is always funny. And we'll probably be right back here on the next big failed launch box thing that happens next time, unless it's 40K, which those never fail. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out our Patreon. You can support the channel on there for as little as $3 a month, and that goes a long way to helping us make these videos. Thanks, guys. Take care.